Buying a new surfboard can be overwhelming and expensive. With so many surfboard models, volumes, and fin options, how do you know what's right for you? Don't guess, get it right the first time. Book a one-on-one surfboard and equipment consultation, and together we'll dial in the ideal surfboard, volume, fins, and quiver for your height, weight, skill level, and the waves you surf. Buy with confidence. Book your surfboard and equipment consultation today at surfandshow.com. Hey guys, welcome to Surf and Show. I'm Noel Salas. Today's surfboard review is the RNF 96er Twinzer by Biolos Surfboards. Now I've got two stock 5.3 boards. They're both 26 liters. I have it in Lightspeed 2 and in the black dark construction. I'm running all kinds of different fin configurations. This board's epic, super fun. You're gonna love this episode. We've got Matt Biolos, we got Joel Bishop. Sit back, get your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Now, looking at this board, this is bringing me back to RNF 96, but there's all kinds of funkiness going on back here. Why don't you tell me about this board?
It can be considered funky. It basically is an RF 96. It's called the Twinzer 96er. It's the round nose fish 96 with some subtle adjustments to the outline and foil, but not much. It's pretty darn true. It's still a double ender. The nose and tail are the same width. Rocker's pretty much the same, but a little bit of adjustments because I had an opportunity to do so. And the size scaling is it kind of sits between the standard sizing stock of the round nose fish and the wider dim. So it's a little more generous. So it's a little wider and thicker for the length than your standard round nose fish 96.
Okay.
The big news here is it's a Twinzer.
Yeah. And
it's not just a Twinzer, it's a Twinzer Plus. So I've been kind of like enamored with Twinzers, and I've been, obviously known about them since Will was doing them in the 80s and watched people play with them off and on in the 40 years since. I was super into the Rusty C5 and his use of canards with that. We did the event with him a couple times, anything but 3 Rusty C5s. So it's like I've kind of followed along and on the sidelines and watched it happen, and I wanted to be a part of it. So we started doing it. And a couple of the things we did first off is I reached out to Vince at Futures and asked what's going on with these little mini boxes. He's like, nobody's really using them. I have them developed, but they just kind of sit. It's like, well, let's play with them. So instead of using that funky old single plug FCS, I just thought these things look sharp, they look strong, really accurate and solid. First couple I made, they felt really loose and squirrely. I'm so used to a 2+1, especially with this model.
Sure.
And I think a lot of the guys who ride our fish are used to that extra hold, that extra kind of, safety net.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, what's stopping me from doing that? Sure enough, this little mini box would work. So we put that in, and that's how it became the Twinzer Plus. And it's like a safety net. So you can ride this board as a straight Twinzer.
Yeah. You
can ride it as a 2+1, or you can ride it as a Twinzer +1. So we spent months adjusting the fin placements. Basically a Twinzer moves the cluster forward. It's expanding your base, but it's expanding it forward. So we ended up moving the front fins back. They're quite a bit further back than they are on the standard round nose fish because the base is expanding forward. We also kind of worked with the fins, really custom fins with Futures. So you can see this fin template. It's a very unique fin template. Yeah. I'm not afraid to say that it was absolutely influenced by the Mick Fanning twin and also the Rasta twin with the snipped off tips. It makes the boards release and turn on a dime. You get that extra area here, but you lose that tip that kind of drags a little bit. Right. But what I really wanted to do to break down the barrier of buying into a Twinzer is one, pair it with our most popular model of all time, our roundnose fish 96, and it's a tried, true, and trusted design. So there's a lot of people around the world that have ridden this board off and on for the better part of 3 decades. So if you're gonna, the board's gonna work. You can ride it as a 2+1, and it's not like as big of a risk to go out and buy a Twinzer.
Good point.
So we wanted to give a very confident, well-known design and put this kind of forward-thinking kind of fringe fin setup. The second thing we wanted to accomplish is we wanted to break down the barrier of someone buying a board and a surf shop and then having to buy a set of fins to go with it, because there's not many fins developed for these little mini boxes.
Right.
So what we've done, at least in the US, is we've worked with futures, and every one of these that's sold at retail will come stock standard with 3 plastic fins, like the way it used to be when FCS and futures first came out.
Sure.
You buy a board and the shop gives you the 3 basic standard fins. Almost everybody has a set of twin fins laying around.
Sure.
Right? Most people do.
Yep.
So you put in your favorite twin fin, and we're going to walk out the store with the trailer and the canard side bites handed to you when you buy the board.
Perfect.
You don't have to go out and buy a set of fins, but we're hoping you do, because these things are pretty damn sexy.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool looking setup.
What's up, y'all? My name's Joel Bishop. I'm so stoked to be back here on Surf and Show. And today we're talking about the lost RNF Twinzer +1. So this board is coming in at the stock 5'10", 20.5, 2.53, 34.1 liters. So what's great about this board is you get the best of both worlds with the fin setup. The Twinzer +1, I would call it like a combination between a thruster and a twin +1. And what's so great about that is I love riding both of them, and I think that's why I had an automatic connection with this board. So what's great about it paired with the RNF is the RNF is already such a tried and true board. You know the rockers work, you know the outline works. It's got a full fishy vibe to it with a pulled in tail. And I think what's so cool about that is you get kind of the combination of all major maneuvers when you want to surf. When you're surfing smaller waves to a little bit bigger waves, you have so much options with your fins, and it doesn't inhibit having all those extra boxes, in my opinion. For me, it was the Lost Canard with the Album Twinzer worked really well, and then the trailer when the waves were picking up just a little bit more. So when there's a little more push, you put the trailer in, and if not, you can ride it just as a Twinzer. And that was kind of the balance I found. At the wave pool, I rode it as the Twinzer +1, and I liked it, but I felt like because that wave face is so small and you can't get the kind of projection of a real wave, you have to be so tight and precise. I actually had some of my best turns of the trip on this with just the Twinzer, which is not something I expected, but it worked really good. All right, guys, in close, this is one of the most fun boards I've reviewed so far. I mean, I love alternative craft, and honestly, this is the most unalternative board I've ever ridden, because it's so easy to ride. A lot of alternative boards take a really big chunk of time just to get used to, but this one from the first session worked insane. And I think everyone for their summer quiver should hop on one of these and at least give it a go, because there's so many benefits to riding a board like this. And I think for most people during their little beachy sessions, this is a great board for the back of the truck to be able to surf pretty much anything in. I can imagine you can surf solid pumping waves in it, because I've had not one bad experience on it. So
now on the fins, I started with the Lightspeed 2. I went with my Pivot Twins and rode it as a 5-fin set. So you have the 2 side bites and the stabilizer, and this fin's quite a bit bigger than your typical twin fin. Like, it's bigger than the MRs, it's bigger than the T1s, and these are the Aquila Ipas, which are a similar fin size to the T1s or MRs. And this just felt way too tight with all 5 fins. So then I put in Aquila Ipa's twins and rode it like this, on the Lightspeed 2 and on the Black Dart, it felt incredible. What I really liked about it is it felt stable. It had a ton of drive. I could push as hard as I wanted. And on both boards, I felt like when I was putting the board on rail and pushing off my bottom turns, both front side and back side, it had that drive and sport I'm looking for. Remember guys, this is 5.3, so there's not a lot of rail line. It does have a bit of rocker, so I have the traction and the hold, but when I lacked the rail line because the board's so short, I really felt like this 5-fin setup gave it the squirt I was looking for, and that felt amazing. And I think if you're gonna pick up one of these boards in either construction, I think you should ride it with a 5-fin setup with the right set of twins for your first go. And then after you do that, you kind of get the gist and the feel of the board. Then I think you can start messing around with different fin templates, try different twin fins, maybe take out the center fin and ride it just as a pure Twinzer with not having that. And I think you're gonna find new sensations and a completely different feeling board. Now the next fin setup I tried was my pivot twins with just the side bites. So I took this center fin out and I put these in and replaced the IPA fins, because when I remove this center fin, I'm gonna have less hold, less pivot, less drive. That was my main thought process, is it gonna be too much of a gap back here? So I went with a little bigger twin fin. And it had the hold, it had the speed, maybe a little bit less drive, but it never felt like it was gonna slide out on me or like I didn't have control of the board or it didn't feel too twitchy. So that felt good too. And I felt like because it didn't have this center fin, it had a little bit of that release and playfulness that I like riding these types of boards here at Waco. And I know I would like that in the ocean on smaller waves too. So just had a session on the Black Dart running the Twin Plus trailer. I feel like a lot of you guys are gonna wanna ride it like this. And I think it's gonna go great, especially in smaller waves. One thing is I have my pivot twin with the stabilizer. Now this fin is equivalent to like the E ends. It's got a wide base. It's pretty upright, but it's got a lot of fin area. So there's a lot of hold, only 4 degrees cant. So I personally feel like it has more drive compared to a fin that might have like 6 or 7 degrees cant, which they feel a little bit more flowy. This is gonna draw a sharper, firmer line, and when you wanna pull it off that line, it's giving you resistance, so it's giving you drive. And I was thinking this would be a good setup for this board. Now, if you look at the fins, it's pretty clustered. So these twin fins, the boxes seem to be moved back a bit, and this little fin's super upright. And since the box is so small, you can't just put any trailer in there that you want. Now, for me, after one session, it felt a little bit too loose. And I'll say this, like this board being 5'3" at 26 liters and I'm 5'9", I'm not getting maximum drive from the rail because it's so short. However, there's a lot of people in our community that buy your boards bigger. You like a lot of volume, especially on a performance fish, smaller waves. So if you buy the board bigger, longer, it's gonna be wider and thicker. It's gonna be a little bit slower to turn. And so running a setup like this is really gonna loosen it up. You're gonna have the rail line to get more drive on the length of the board, and you're gonna have resistance from the width and the thickness. Now, if you can keep it loose, it's gonna be like exactly what you're looking for in small waves. Now, I also wanna mention that for you guys that have a hard time surfing with your back foot all the way back on the tail kick, I feel like because of where the fin position is and how loose the board is, I can surf it right here. I feel like most of my best waves in that session where my foot was like in the middle of the pad. So I'm getting a little bit more drive. That's tightening up the board. And I also felt like I was able to widen my front foot, widen my stance where I moved my front foot up a little bit. That made the board a little bit tighter and I could find a little bit more drive. And the board was a little bit less twitchy and it felt a lot better. So guys, Twin Plus trailer, I think you're gonna like it in small waves. If you have the board the right size and you get the right fins on the sides, it'll be great. Now I remember riding the original RNF 96 at Trestles, well overhead as a pure twin fin. No center fin, and really liking that board. And then doing it here in the pool too. So I thought, could it go good in this Twinzer 96er and running the same HP twins and nothing in any of the other boxes, and the freedom and the ability to push both front side and back sides there, I feel like that's what makes the RNF 96 so good. And if you look at these HP twins right here, you can see that it almost looks like it was meant to be a twin fin. But I want to point out, my fins have a rather large base. So with them being so wide, you have a lot of base to push off of and a lot of drive. But it's going past the shaper's dot almost a whole inch. So when I talk about where most twin fins fit in the box, like an MR or like a T1, there's no real overhang over the edge of the box here in the back. Mine's overhanging a bunch. And that's going to give me stability. That's going to give me drive and hold. And it's almost like I took the 96 and customized it with the length of the base of the fin. Now I have the stability. And I feel like if you guys get an RNF 96 or this 96er Twinzer, you're going to be stoked to run a bunch of different fin setups in it. You're going to get a bunch of different feels. This and like shoulder high and below would be incredible in the ocean. Now I want to talk about both constructions. And I would say 9 times out of 10 here at Waco, I really gravitate towards the Lightspeed 2. And there's a particular reason why. I really feel like it takes less to flex this construction in general. So when I'm loading a bottom turn, and at the peak of that bottom turn, I can feel the board kind of loading under my feet, and then it springs me out of that turn with a lot of drive, pop, and projection. And I'm not saying I felt it as much on these little 5.3s as I would something that's maybe 5.5 or 5.6, or even like 5.7. I feel like the longer the board, the more I'm going to feel flex under my feet. So here at Waco, there isn't a lot of wave face compared to, like, let's say lower trussels or even some of the beach breaks that I used to surf a lot. And when I don't have the wave face, there's not a lot of time to load the board. What I like about both boards is it fits in this quick face real fast. And there's something special about the RNF 96, whether it's the original or the 96 or Twinzer here, is it just goes good in the pool. I feel like it's a tight, quick little pocket. And I really felt like both boards delivered exactly what I was hoping. They do have a completely different feel than the RNF 96. It even has a different feel compared to the Lost Pisces. And I feel like if you liked both those boards, or you're looking for something that has just a different feel altogether, I think you could ride this as a groveler. I think you could ride it up to 6 foot plus surf. I really had a great time, and I think it's still the best high performance fish I've ridden to date. Now, this board is a favorite for 2026, which shouldn't surprise you if you follow the show. You know I spoke highly of the RNF 96 being the best one board quiver I had ridden to date back a few years ago. So guys, this board is ultra fun, incredible performance, doing legitimate turns that I wouldn't expect from a fish or most of the other fishes that I would compare to that I've been riding for the last 11 years. Now, my favorite setup was a 5-fin setup with Aquilas running on my twins, and then I liked it with the HP twins, and that would be my number one choice if I was surfing maybe head high and below. And if I'm getting in a little bit bigger surf, I'm going with this setup right here. If you're a lighter guy or you want to get into EPS epoxy, go Lightspeed 2. I feel like it'll be easier for you to adapt to. If you push hard, you're hard on the deck of boards, I would say go for the Black Dart. You will not be disappointed. Look, if you like the show, subscribe, ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, and give us a thumbs up if you like our content. Special shout out thanks to Matt Biolos for joining us on the show, sending the boards in for review, and the surfers that helped me test the 96 Twinzer 96er epic board. Until next time, we'll see you in the water. Bye-bye.